Bibles, and we'd like to read from Matthew chapter 2, verses 13 to 23. And while you're finding that, I didn't mention during the announcement time, but some of you may remember Stuart and Marion brought a man to church with them more than once, Jack Watkins. He was a Methodist minister plus a public school teacher. And Jack just recently, within the last month, entered the retirement home down in Pennsylvania, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And after he got down there, he had to have surgery, and he died Christmas Day, and which is sad. A great guy. And just before he left here, he sent us $100 for having his name in the bulletin. So they're going to go to his funeral tomorrow in Binghamton. Our thoughts are with Jack. Only has nieces and nephews left. Okay, Matthew 2, 13 to 23. When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up," he said, "take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him." So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. And so he was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I called my son." And when Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious. And he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. "A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping in great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and refusing to be comforted because they are no more." And after Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and go to the land of Israel, for those who were trying to take the child's life are dead." So he got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning in Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. Having been warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee, and he went and lived in a town called Nazareth. So was fulfilled what was said through the prophets, "He will be called a Nazarene." This was political. We won't get into politics this morning. But we all know that politics do not always do good things. Herod was very political. He wanted his kingdom to never be taken away from him. All of us have fears. We don't talk about it, but a lot of us have inner fears. We have them this morning. Herod had a fear of losing his power. And because it was so strong within him, and it is within us, sometimes our fears are so strong we do some very stupid things to protect ourselves. And Herod wanted to protect himself from losing his throne, so when he found out that Jesus was still alive as a little boy, and he might be around 2 years old, he decided the only way to destroy Jesus and make sure he got him was to destroy every boy child in Jerusalem and Bethlehem and Judea under the age of 2. Imagine that. I can't even think of that. You having a child in your home that's 2 or under, and here comes a soldier, and he's wiped away. It's genocide. Hitler did it to the Jews, no matter what their age was. So Jesus was born into a violent world. Hey, the world we're in today is a violent world. And Jesus had to face death from the time he was born until he got to the cross. And when you say, well, we all do too. Yes, we do. We all face death. But he faced it continuously. It was always thrown before him. We're going to kill you. We're going to kill you. We're going to kill you. We hate you. We hate you. We hate you. We aren't going to follow you. We're not going to follow you. That was the way he was treated for 33 years. Not easy. And so Joseph got this dream, came to him by the Spirit, get out of Bethlehem, because if you don't, you're going to lose your son. So they fled to Egypt. And isn't it interesting where they went? Because Egypt was a place of slavery for Jesus' people previously. Moses got him out of Egypt. Now here we have Jesus going back to Egypt to save his life. Very, very interesting. Our world today, and I'll talk about United States, we're plagued by unthinkable acts of violence against our children. I'm going to give you some figures, and these are true figures. As of 2010, 6.4 million children live in poverty in America. The ABC News reported in 2011 as many as 17 million children nationwide struggle with what is known as food insecurity. 1 out of every 4 children in the United States is living without consistent access to enough nutritious food to live a healthy life. In America, a child abuse report happens every 10 seconds. Each year, 3.3 million reports of child abuse occur involving 6 million children. And we are the most industrialized nation on the face of the earth. How can we be consoled this morning when you hear figures like that? Jesus said, remember what he said? Let the children come, what? To me. His heart was compassionately toward children. And whenever he saw children suffering, it was not consolation for Jesus. It was a determination to make things different. As we head into 2014, we have, if all of our kids were here, Sunday, we have about 20 kids. Not a lot, but better than not any. I was talking yesterday with a minister, 2 ministers yesterday. They have absolutely 0 children in their churches. The youngest person in both of their churches is 41. Scary. That can be repeated many, many times in central New York and around the United States. I don't care what denomination it is. There are less and less and less children coming. That reflects back on the home. Because the home is, in many instances, no longer a center of love and peace and caring and sharing. I would dare to say that probably 50% of the American families do not eat together at least 1 meal a day. We're down to that. For various reasons, whether they're good or bad, we're down to that. You do not find mother and father and kids together in worship, not on a regular basis. We have only a few here that come as mother, father, and children. Children come without them. So we're in a crisis. Not just in Columbus, but we are as a nation with our children, because they are the future of not only the church, the future of our nation. And many, many of our children today are growing up to be abused with drugs. It becomes a way of life, and they use them and use them and use them, and it becomes a whole new world, and it creates problems beyond problems when you get into the drug culture. We don't have one teenager that comes to Columbus. You realize that? Not one. Got one that's almost going to be a teenager, but until she does, we have no teenagers. These are concerns of my heart. And so one of the things I'm going to do for 2014 is I'm going to devote myself as much as I can to try to rouse families and children to want to come and be worshipful and come together and begin to heal and have some new beginnings. And I think it can happen. I really do. And wherever you see children and families coming together as one, you're going to see new beginnings. You're going to see new changes and new hope and new life. We all have grandkids. Some of them we can't bring because they live, you'd have to get up yesterday to get them here today. But some of them live not too far away. And I appreciate every grandparent that brings grandchildren to church. Jake and Shirley bring great-grandchildren Sunday after Sunday. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here, right? If you didn't bring them. I mean, it comes down to that. So if you have to be the person that brings them because nobody else will, you do it. Because this is what God has asked us to do. And any life that you can change, you're a winner. If you can bring change into one child, it makes all the difference in the world. So start asking yourself between now and next Sunday, where can I reach out and touch a child? Where can I reach out and touch a family? Where can I bring hope to a family unit that doesn't have any connection with church, which you haven't got to look very far to find that, because 90% of families do not go to church together as a unit in 2013. Only 10% of our nation go together as a family unit. We're down to those kind of numbers. So we need to reach out. And we need to do it within our own realms. And we've all got our own realms where we can reach out and touch somebody and see that it brings in new beginnings. And as I see the kids here Sunday after Sunday, it's a spark in my life to know that there is a tomorrow, there can be new beginnings and new changes. I remember, and many of you may have read the book, The Cross and the Switchblade by David Wilkerson. It was done in 1969, 1970. David Wilkerson was a country preacher in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And he read where Nicky Cruz was the notorious young drug leader in the city of New York. And he decided, as a young preacher, he would go to New York and help find Nicky Cruz and turn him to Christ. And that's the most beautiful story, and just in a nutshell. It was made into a movie, but in a nutshell, he could not find Nicky Cruz when he got to New York. Nobody wanted to tell him where he was because he was head of the gangs. And Nicky Cruz was found because David Wilkerson asked God, where is he? And he was sitting in front of his apartment, and something said to him, there. And that's where Nicky Cruz was. And when he went to tell Nicky Cruz that he was there to love him and pray for him, he said, you go to hell. And David Wilkerson didn't turn away. He kept after him. He got him to come to a meeting in New York where they were calling all the drug gangs together to try to work with him. And Nicky Cruz came to that meeting, and David Wilkerson decided that he would ask Nicky Cruz to take up the offering. And his associate said, he'll run out of here with it to buy drugs. David said, if he does, he does. But he brought it to the front of the church and said, Mr. Wilkerson, you're the first person who's ever trusted me. When you gave me that offering plate, I thought absolutely I would fill it and take off out of here. But then I realized there was somebody up front that believed in me. And Mr. Wilkerson, I want to know the God you know. Nicky Cruz accepted Jesus Christ, and within the next 2 years had turned probably at least 200 gang people to Christ in New York City. All because one man in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania said, I believe I can make a difference in the drug situation in New York. And Nicky Cruz now is in Puerto Rico. David Wilkerson has died. He's in Puerto Rico as a minister and has a huge church and works with youth and youth and youth and youth. This is what God can do. You look at people and say, oh, they're lost. No, they're not. They just need to be found. See, if they're lost, there's no hope. But if you believe you can be an instrument to bring them to Christ and to new beginnings, think what it'll do for you. Father, this morning, may each one of us reach out in 2014 in our own family circles, in other circles, and see families come to know that there is a new beginning in thy name. Amen.